That was Dianne Feinstein. Joining us now is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator, after Sandy Hook, you were such a fierce advocate and since always have been. Talk to me about her role and her passion for gun safety.
Well, that's an extraordinary moment. I watched that clip over and over this morning, and you're reminded of her incredible and tragic life. What she went through has almost no parallel for other members of the United States Senate. And I think it's really important to remember that it was Dianne Feinstein, really almost singularly, that kept alive the anti-gun violence movement. You've talked about the fact that she passes the assault weapons ban in her first year in the United States Senate. But then after that, this mythology builds up that Democrats aren't supposed to talk about the issue of guns, and that work really ends. But Dianne Feinstein doesn't give up. For the next 2 decades, she continues to talk about the issue of gun violence over and over and over again. I think you referenced the conversation you had with her in early 2012. When Sandy Hook happens, the only reason that the anti-gun violence movement is still around is because of her. And over the last 10 years, with her help, we have built up that movement to now be more powerful than the gun lobby. With her help, we passed the first major anti-gun violence measure in 30 years last year. And the only reason we were able to do that was because of her. The first stop I made, one of the first stops I made when I got elected to the Senate after Sandy Hook, was to her office, because she was the guiding light on trying to save children from gun violence, and everything good that has happened in the last 10 years has happened because she was this real voice of moral conscience. When other people were running away from the issue of guns, she still knew that it was important to the kids and the families she represented.
She deeply believed in compromise and bipartisanship, to a fault, even when some Democrats were perhaps unhappy with how she came down on some of the issues. Can you shed any more light on the stories of working with her working relationships up there?
I think it's hard to remember this, but in 1994, when she passes the assault weapons ban, she passes it with Republican support. She was able to find Republicans who were willing to work with her. She was able to help convince Ronald Reagan to endorse the assault weapons ban, working with a California Republican that she had battled over the years. And so if you look at her legacy, going back to those first early successes on gun violence, they come through Dianne's ability to reach out across the aisle. And, when a colleague dies, members from both sides normally say nice, kind things. But you read the statements of Republicans, and you see a different level of respect and profound sadness that they have. Because for a long time, she was one of the people who made the Senate work. There are few senators like her anymore who still feel like part of your obligation as a senator is to compromise, not just to stand for your convictions. And the Senate is just going to be a weaker place without her here.
I wanted to switch gears and talk about Senator Bob Menendez, because you were among the Democrats, I think as of yesterday there were 30, haven't checked this morning, calling for him to step down. In private yesterday at your lunch, the caucus lunch, he defended his decision not to step down. Can you share your thoughts? I know it was a private meeting, but whatever you can explain about what happened there.
Yeah, I have not chosen to talk about that private meeting, but my feelings are pretty clear. I think it's very hard for Senator Menendez to do the job on behalf of his constituents with this indictment looming. He defended his decision to stay in the Senate, and he appears as if he's going to stick with that decision. But, for us, we have some other big questions we need to get answered on the Foreign Relations Committee. Obviously, it appears as if the Egyptian government was operating a covert illegal influence campaign, and we need to try to understand what the scope of that campaign was. There's public policy ramifications for our relationship with Egypt. So I know a lot of people are focused on Senator Menendez and the decision that he's made, but we also have to think about the national security implications of the facts that are laid out in that indictment.